Hello, this is Dennis DePra. I'm with the Alaska Veterans Museum. This is a part of an ongoing project to digitize and broadcast the interviews, the oral histories that have been done over the years at the Alaska Veterans Museum. This oral history, is by a gentleman named William H. Greene. William was in the U.S. Navy in World War II in the Pacific Theater. He was in a Navy construction battalion, also known as the Seabees. He served from July of 1943 to June of 1945, and he also served in the Aleutian campaign and helped establish the base on the island of Attu after the battle. William was born in Casper, Wyoming. Prior to entering the Navy, William worked as an electrician in the Tacoma, Washington shipyard. William mentions in the interview several locations that he trained at prior to deployment to the Aleutians. He mentions Williamsburg and Camp Perry. Both these locations are in coastal Virginia and were used to train amphibious forces and later Seabees, naval construction battalions. The U.S. Navy Seabees were used to construct infrastructure primarily for the Navy during World War II. They would build bases, port facilities, and airfields. They proved to be a crucial logistical asset during World War II, and it's in the U.S. drive across the Pacific. During his interview, he'll mention a few things that I'm going to provide some context for. A lot of people who know World War II will know what he's talking about, but others who may click on this or come across this who aren't familiar with some of the stuff in World War II may not be familiar. He mentions a Japanese knee mortar. Japanese knee mortar was a lightweight grenade launcher used at the squad level for the Imperial Japanese Army during World War II. Despite the name, it was not used from the knee. However, normally to operate it effectively, the operator would have to drop to a knee to plant the weapon on the ground, or he'd have to use it in the prone. He also mentioned something called a 90-day wonder. 90-day wonder is normally a junior officer. It's associated with the junior officer, who is a product of an officer candidate school or an officer candidate producing program, not West Point or the Naval Academy. During World War II, the U.S. raised a mass army and a very, very large Navy, and there was a requirement for a lot of junior officers. West Point, Annapolis, and even ROTC could not fulfill the need. So these other programs were created, and usually it was someone with a college education or someone who volunteered and was selected. William's account is very similar to many that served in the Pacific. In the logistic end, he never really saw combat. But the Seabees themselves, the service they provided, was essential to the U.S. and the Allied victory in World War II. William also discussed, he'll mention in passing, a USO tour where Olivia de Havilland came up to Alaska and the Aleutians. He'll discuss, mention some incidents that happened, some racial problems that happened in the Aleutians while he was there. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview, and I'll let William speak for himself.
Today is Friday, the 18th of May, 2018, and we are in the Anchorage, Alaska hotel room of William H. Greene, an Aleutian campaign veteran who is up here for the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Attu. The cameraman interviewer is Sue Ellen Wright Novak. Mr. Greene, you ready to begin?
Bring it on.
Okay. When and where were you born, sir?
7325, Casper, Wyoming.
Casper, Wyoming. Did you grow up in the country?
Nope.
You were in town?
Yep, lived in town. We had electricity and gas for stoves and everything. Uptown people.
Uptown people.
No privy.
No privy.
No, no privies.
Well, had to graduate to that, right?
Yeah.
So, did you play sports, or did you run around town, or what did you do growing up?
Oh, probably the big thing, when I was 13 years old, I worked for a grocery store. Worked for 2 weeks for nothing to show them that they needed me. And so they hired me. And I had an old 36 airplane I'd drive and deliver groceries and such, and plus go in and sell, and made $5 a week.
Wow.
First $5, I bought a 29 Oldsmobile coupe with a rumble seat. Second, I bought a 29 Chevy 4-door, $5. And third week, I bought a 29 Harley Davidson motorcycle, $5. 13 years old.
$5.
Live like a king.
Wow.
Yep.
So were you a mechanic on all those too?
Tore them down, repaired every one of them.
Okay. So you're good with your hands.
Yep.
What childhood memories do you have other than those vehicles? Well, actually, expound upon those vehicles.
Well, the 29 Chev had a nude woman on the headliner where a guy had done it in lipstick. And so when I started going with my wife, she was about between 15 and 16, I knew she would not get in that car with that. So I took some more lipstick and put a bra and some shorts on her.
Oh, resourceful man.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yep. But probably love to fish. I'd go down the Platte River and sit on the piers down there. And also when I was probably 7 or 8 years old, I dug out, I lived with grandparents, and they rented the big house, and we had a couple of little ones. But the big house underneath we lived in the basement, it had a porch. So I dug that porch out and built a bicycle repair shop. I think I was 7. And so I started repairing bicycles. And in those days, they were called non-coasters. It was kind of like a tricycle. The wheels just went around all the time.
Uh-huh.
And so I would take that all apart, take the spokes all out, and totally respoke that wheel and put in a new departure, so you had brakes and all that.
Oh, wow.
So I did.
So how much did you charge the kids for that?
Wasn't very much. Probably, I would say maybe $5 or something. But that was the main thing. That was my first job, really. That and selling Saturday evening Ladies' Home Journal and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I think
all those
I did.
good magazines.
Yeah, I did that. I think when I was probably 6, 7 too.
Do you have a paper route?
Well, it was kind of the same thing.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah. Okay, next.
So, did you get in trouble in school, or were you a good student?
Wasn't a good student, but probably the main thing is I can remember in 4th grade, I used to talk a lot. And so I had probably, I remember one time 50 marks up on the chalkboard for talking. And they said, "We're going to get hold of your parents." I said, "My grandparents won't even know what you're talking about." Because they didn't know beans about school.
Nor did they particularly care,
Yeah.
right?
Nope. But like I say, I wasn't really a super student. There was a lot of kids that were really smart, and I can remember probably when it was either 2nd or 3rd grade when they got rid of sight reading, like Dick and Jane and such, and they went to phonics, and everything became p and f and s and all that stuff. Just
I know,
went
I had some of that. That was crazy.
Went right over my head.
That was crazy.
Yeah, couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. So that kind of left me cold for a while. But
But
I think probably the first time I got in trouble in school was this kindergarten, Miss Bell.
oh, Lord.
And so we'd gone out on the playground, and then when we come in, we had little rugs that we could lay down and rest on, you know. And so this little girl that I liked was right next to me. And so I crawled over on her rug, and Miss Bell said, "Billy, little boys don't sleep with little girls." Well, it was probably up to 25 before I finally beat that. Can't believe it.
Okay.
She goofed me up.
Yeah, she goofed you up badly. That's just unrealistic.
Yeah.
Okay, so you graduated from high school.
Yep.
Now, did you play sports, or you didn't have time for that because you were working?
Yeah, I used to run a lot. The school would have races and such, so I was the runner for relays and all that.
Oh, okay.
And I still do it. At 60, I did a Senior Olympics. 70, I did a Senior Olympics.
Gee.
80, I did a Senior Olympics. 89, I did a Senior Olympics in case I didn't get to 90. And I'm going to do another one when I'm 100.
Okay, that's cool.
That's it. I run a short little race. I do archery, and I do high jump.
And high jump. Wow.
And high jump is just pretty well a step over the,
Yeah, well,
but it still counts.
it still counts. That's right. That's a good thing. So once you graduated high school, what'd you do?
Well, I worked in the shipyards during high school. I was electrician in the shipyards for about a year and a half. Todd Shipyards in Tacoma. And then after that, I went in service.
Yeah, you said you were going to be a naval aviator,
Yep,
and then you ran into a little problem.
yep, that was it. So that put me in the Seabees. And,
Okay, so that was you were colorblind, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So you got all that. And some of the, I don't know if it'd be interesting or not, but I had quite a few captains, but they called them captain's mass, because I'd go out and imbibe. I'd go on a 12-hour liberty and come back about 3 days later from imbibing a little bit, checking the grapes. And so, let's see where I'm going to go with that. Got to stop and think a second.
That's fine.
Oh yeah, I was the last time that I got my captain's mass. That made me a like in the brig.
Okay.
And so when we came through Denver, going to the East Coast, my buddy and I were in it was the tail end, the caboose, and we had bunks and we had first chow, and it was really great. The rest of the people sat in a dumb coach, and had to sit in that thing and sleep. And so we come to Denver, and there was a little gal standing on the deck there by the train thing, and I opened the window and I said, "We're going to go overseas, and I really kind of think I'm going to get killed. Would you hold my hand?" And so she said, "Sure, yeah." So she's holding my hand. I said to "Would you hold my buddy's hand here?" "Yeah." I said, pull, and we pulled her right in there. And I'd love to talk to her someday to see what she thought. Can you imagine that, to being pulled into a train? And these two SPs said, "Don't you guys ever quit?"
No.
No. But had a good time. And also boot camp, I don't know if I'd mentioned it. We first thing we did, we took a D8 cat. There was 3 of us, and we ran around together. Took that D8 cat on the officers' parking lot there, and we tried to see if we could run the cat. And so we dropped the blade down. Well, it dug about a 1-foot hole in the parking lot. Well, you back up, and then you try to dig something to get over that. You dig another hole. Then you'd back up, and then you dig another 1-foot hole. And so I got one of the CBs come over. "Guys, if you promise me you're just going to leave, quit screwing with equipment, I'll fix it for you." So he just turned around, backed the blade up, and just drug it over.
We're done.
2 minutes, he's got it cleaned.
We're done.
So then we go over, and there's an area where they've got a lot of people, and the Marines are just busting their butts. And we watched these guys, and they were trying to climb the ropes like on a ship, where you're going on or getting off a ship.
Right.
But they were so tired that they couldn't do it.
Right.
And so we started laughing.
Ooh.
And so they opened the gate, we went in, and so what we were being trained as was underwater demolition, frogmen. And so we did that. I did it for a month, and they came in and said, "Bill, how old are you?" And I said, 18. "I'm sorry, you got to be 19 to be a frogman." So they kicked me out of that. So they just keep kicking me out of stuff. Story of my life. But that was they later Navy SEALs. But this originally started out as underwater
As
demolition
UDTs,
frogmen.
UDTs, yep.
Yep. So that was kind of interesting.
Now, where did that happen in this
Williamsburg.
listing?
Williamsburg.
That was at Williamsburg.
Yep.
Okay.
Williamsburg.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, you said that you took advanced training in New York
Yeah.
State.
Now,
What type of advanced training? Is that CB training or?
no, just military type training. Like
Okay.
you'd be in, your pack on, and you'd jump into a river and with your pack and everything, and try to swim across and all that kind of junk. And then you'd have scarecrows, and you'd set your rifle to the old odd six, put the bayonet on, and then they had scarecrows, and you'd run over and stick
Okay.
that bayonet in the scarecrow. Kill, kill, kill. They do that, a lot of that, because they were trying to train you to be fighters, I guess.
Combat, yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
combat.
how long was that course?
I would say 3 months.
3 months. Okay.
That'd be, I think, 3 months had probably covered it.
And how long were you at Camp Perry?
I would say 3 or 4 months, just approximately. I just don't remember for sure, but I would think that'd pretty well cover it.
Okay. Did you like the Navy?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
A lot of great experience, right?
Well, I kind of marched to my own drum. The stuff that we did, and a lot of it was things that I did just on my own. I don't know why I did. Like on the troop ship, we're sitting on a troop ship, and here's this 24-foot trough for a john, and you got just little two-by-fours. You got 2 two-by-fours you sit on, and so I'm looking at all this, and I thought, if I just wad up a bunch of toilet paper and set it on fire, it'd be kind of interesting what would happen. So I wadded this toilet paper up, wait for the ship to list, just
Right.
properly,
Right.
and dropped it in there, burning, and each one of them, I'll kill the SOB that did this. I said, boy, I'm going to too. You're gonna have to see me first, because I'm getting him first. But we did just stuff like that all the time. But that was just me. A lot of stuff I didn't need a partner.
Were you like that in high school too?
Well, I worked so much in high school, I didn't,
You
have
didn't
time.
have time. You didn't have time to get.
Yeah, because in the shipyards, I worked a full 8-hour shift, so I think it was 3:30 to 11:30. So I didn't have any time for it.
No, you didn't get much rest either.
Nope.
Okay, so you go to Seattle and you get on this USS Failing.
Yep.
Or Army Transporter, whatever it is.
No, yeah, well, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. And you're heading off for Attu.
Yep, and we get out about, I don't know, maybe, I would approximate 6 days, and we run into a typhoon.
Oh, jeez.
And that probably 60, 70-mile-an-hour winds.
Mm-hmm.
And so the deck formed about 1 foot of ice on it. The lines, all 1 foot of ice. And it took all of the equipment, the trucks, everything off of the big cartons they had for whatever was in them. Took all the life rafts off, just stripped the whole, there wasn't anything on that ship.
Oh, Lord.
And the Liberty ships would break in half. They were 3 compartments, and so they would break in half and sink. Well, we just happened to be on one that had been retrofitted. It had what I call Band-Aids. They had 24-inch pieces of metal, 2 feet wide. They would take cutting torches and cut holes in them, put them on the deck, and then weld it to the deck. And it was just, you couldn't hardly walk on the deck because you're walking on all these Band-Aids,
Yeah. Ugh.
And I think that's what saved our lives. I think we would have sunk because it was bad. That old ship would go up, 45 degrees, and then the aft would come up 45, and then it'd roll 45, and you'd have 1 foot up on the bulkhead and one on the deck, and then it'd roll over the other way, and then it'd shudder. It was spooky, and that went on for I think 3 days, as I remember. It was bad.
And with all that ice, why didn't it just roll over?
Well, you know, you kind of wonder how it survived.
Because didn't they have sailors and other people out there taking and beating the ice off?
No, nobody dare get out there.
Because, you know, we interviewed a guy who was in the Aleutians.
Yeah.
He was in the Navy. I don't remember now what the
Yeah.
name of the ship was. But he was in there, and he said that the ice was so thick that if they didn't go out on deck and beat it off, it would have rolled right on over.
I just don't think that anybody could have survived out there, you know. And it might even been more than 60 miles an hour, because
Yeah.
it was horrible.
Now, what type of clothing did they issue you?
Uh,
They were wool uniforms?
yeah, never had uniforms, and we never saluted anybody. You know,
CBs are different, huh?
no, they're working people. They got a job to do, and they go do it. It was not military at all. No.
All right, that's surprising because I haven't had a CB tell me that.
Yeah, no, it was just no military type thing at all. And
Okay, so what are you thinking as you get up to as you're on your way to Attu? And by now you probably know where you're going, right?
I don't know that we did for sure.
Okay,
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
so you might have gone from Seattle to maybe Cold Bay,
No, we went just
Lake
straight.
Deck, or straight.
Well, we did. Yeah, we did pull in one place because I remember talking to one of the stevedores, and I said, "See, that officer just got out of that Jeep." And we watched him walk away, and I said, "Why don't you just throw a hook over there, and we'll put some ropes on that thing, and we'll put that Jeep on the ship." And so that's what we did. But that was all after the typhoon. So we had our own Jeep when we got up there.
There you go.
Yeah, that was my deal. Those are the kind of things I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you were building roads on Attu then?
No, we weren't. I was an electrician,
Okay.
and so I was climbing poles, working power gangs,
Okay.
and so and running. You know, you'd have to run cables down to the runway if the lights were out, and so you'd be days and days running the jackhammer and shoveling and all that kind of stuff.
So were you living in what became known as Navy Town?
It wasn't, no. Ours was right by a stream, and where the salmon would come up,
Okay.
and just kind of flat ground, you know, flat, not mountainous at all. And the CO one time, I had told him about that. The salmon just can't get up there. They can't. The engineers, Army engineers, had built a big dam. A big bridge there, and 3 flues in the thing. But the salmon couldn't get up there because it would be about the height of that bed, and they couldn't jump it. And so he said, "Oh, do you know what to do?" And I said, "Yeah, I know." Because all you do, I was from Washington, and you just build like steps, but
Like steps for them, yep.
they got water, in them, each one. And so we did that, but we had to close off 2 of the flues to get enough water. And so, boy, he was so proud of me. And he told all the officers, what we'd done and how we were saving the salmon. It wasn't probably a week till we had, you can't believe the rain we had. It was horrible. And it washed that bridge out.
Oops.
Probably 200 feet downstream.
Good Lord.
I saw all those Army guys with all their brass on their caps, and so my CO said, "Well, somebody's got to take the hit on it. So you're confined to
Yes.
to your barracks
So it was you.
for a month."
Jeez. Yeah, but there wasn't much to do out there on Attu anyways.
Well, we worked. Other than work.
Right, other than work.
Well, I love to fish, Fishing was great. Big silver
Fishing's
salmons,
still great out there.
big silver salmons and Dolly Varden trout. So
Yep.
I was down there fishing.
There you go.
And then in the wintertime, we rigged up a deal to where we could ski.
Right.
So that was good. And we had well, you did a certain amount of KP. Now that's where I could have turned myself in for a Purple Heart, I think. a guy he had cleaned the slicer, and here's this wheel about that big, and that baby is just sharp as a razor.
Yep.
And he walked by me and just laid my arm open.
Oh.
Boy, I mean, I still got a scar on the thing. And so I said, I should, we're in a war zone. I should turn this in for Purple Heart.
Yeah, you shed blood for your country.
Yeah. But,
So you would have had one medal.
yeah. But,
You did get a World War II victory medal, so.
well, I got a ruptured duck, I know.
Yeah. For World War II service, yeah.
Yeah. And, you had certain things like rifle, for your rifle.
Yeah, those are badges, yeah.
Yeah, we got all, on the thing, we did a bunch of that stuff. I'm trying to think of what that paper is that's got all that on there. 1066 or some dumb thing.
Some dumb thing, that's right.
Probably a couple things that would be notable. There was a big hangar pretty close to our barracks, because I was in the barracks once up by that time, and the hangar caught on fire.
Ooh.
And so they had about 10 planes in there. So I got 6 guys, and I said, we can get all those planes out of there and save them. And so we went over there and got all those airplanes out. And that hangar just went, it was just flat to the ground.
Good Lord.
So we saved 10 airplanes.
There you go.
So that was a good one.
Should have gotten a commendation for that.
Yeah. And then another time, I saw a plane go down up in the mountain, so I ran up there. And the guys thought they'd landed on water. So, boy, they were trying to get out of there rather than, sink.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you're up in the damn snowbank up here on top of a mountain. And the pilot had a piece of metal or something went right up through his leg. So he was kind of pinned in there. So we finally got that squared away and got him out. But I was just the only one up there. I guess I was just trying to explain to him, you're okay. You're not going to sink in the water. We just need to get you some help.
What kind of airplane was that, do you know?
Don't know. I would say I kind of want to say a DC-3, but because we had a lot of DC-3s coming in, that was they had to bring in hay and food for the Commodore. He had cows and chickens and all that. So.
Well, now that's a little interesting.
Yeah. He ate well. But, and then went down, we was on beach patrol, and Tokyo Rose used to talk to us and tell us what, you've got another, like when we came up there, well, I understand they got 67 new recruits in. And so she knew that. And so we got one, then she said, we were on beach patrol, my buddy and I, and they'd told us that there would probably be an invasion that night. And so here we are with our little rifles. And we had a tent kind of in the middle of where we used to walk, and we kept a stove going there to go in and get warmed up. And so I heard something rustling around in there. And I thought, uh-oh, they're here. And so I went over there and kind of kicked the flap back on it, and something started rushing out, and I fired a shot in there. It was a silver fox going in there to get warm.
That's right.
It wasn't a Japanese person.
He's not dumb.
And that was the only animal we had was silver fox. No trees.
Nope.
No trees at all. One artificial one. That was it.
Now that artificial one, that was made out of concrete, wasn't it?
No, it was,
Because I saw one that was concrete, I saw one that was just branches.
this is just branches, the one we had. Yep. And then we had a USO troop, Olivia de Havilland, come up one time.
All right.
And so, in fact, my buddy and I went over and got her at the plane. And in a, I was trying to think of what we called the one vehicle much bigger than a Jeep. There's a name for it. Was it kind of like a Dodge, big one? And that was the one. The Jeeps would just bog down in the tundra. They weren't worth a darn.
Right.
But that other one, it was a 6x, and boy, it was great. And that's what we went down and got them and brought them back up to the chow hall there to put on the show. And the one kid was a black, and he was a jitterbugger. And he got out there and jitterbugged. I have never seen anybody so good. I mean, he was excellent. Well, it wasn't a week later, and he was in. They had the blacks had a special tent for just them, and so a white kid went in there and was playing poker with them, and he claimed that one of the guys didn't ante a quarter, so he just got up and left. Well, pretty soon he comes back. He's got an odd 6, and it's this kid that was doing the jitterbugging, and he stuck that odd 6 in his gut and pulled the trigger. Well, the kid was real sharp, pushed it down real quick, and it blew his leg off. And so we had to. He needed blood real bad, and so had a lot of Texans and a lot of other people that weren't up to blacks, and so I had a tough time recruiting. But I had a buddy that had the Quonset next to us that was a doctor, and we used to go up. There was 6 of us again. We'd go over there and, with him included, drink medical alcohol, and we'd get orange juice, anything we'd get from the kitchen, and dilute it, kind of like your deal.
Yeah, kind of like Rattlers, huh?
Yeah, same thing. And so anyway, I said, if will you give a shot of whiskey to the guys if I recruit them and say you can have a shot of whiskey if you give, and there were direct transfusions too. And so I think there were 7 of us, 6 or 7 of us that gave direct transfusion and saved the kid.
You did save him.
Yeah, saved him. So and I'm O negative, and so I don't know if the negative was a problem to him or not. But O is common, and I think the negative.
Negative is acceptable.
I think for everybody, because I gave blood for 60 years, so for a lot for preemies down at one of the hospitals, they'd call me like 4 in the morning and say, "We need you down here for some blood." So you'd scoot down there, but I think I gave 60 years blood, so it was a lot of.
How many gallon?
Tons.
Yeah, my goal was to get to 10 gallon, but I made a little over 8.
Yeah, no, it was buku.
Yeah.
Because 60 years, you give a lot of blood.
Yep.
It'd be gallons and gallons and gallons.
How often did USO shows come up?
That's the only one I went to.
Okay.
They had the Red Cross come up, and they had like a little trailer, and they had coffee and cookies and such. A quarter for the coffee, a quarter for the cookies, and so Red Cross didn't get any money from me.
No, there was a lot of angst over that, as there should be. But
that was bad. That was bad. That was not acceptable in my book.
Did any of the guys in your battalion have any problems with being so remote?
Yeah, we had a couple of them. We had one southern kid that kept saying he was going to commit suicide. And so I finally just got tired of it. I said, "You take your rifle," and we had a deal like you'd have your Quonset, but then you had another thing kind of build out there, that an extension, so that it would kind of, when you open the door, well, then all the wind and snow didn't come in.
Right.
And so I said, you just get out there, and I wasn't the only one. Quite a few of them agreed with me. Just get out there and get the job done. We're tired of hearing it.
Tired of listening to you, yeah.
So then we sit there,
Yeah.
and he just, after probably about 2 hours, he came back in. That was the end of that. Never heard it again.
So when you first got up there, were you living in tents?
Yeah, I lived in tents.
Were they the big pyramidal tents?
Well, there was 6 of us in a tent, so it was just kind of a square job. And what you did, you built a wooden platform, and the platform was up, probably 3 feet, and then the 6 tents, you put 6 tents, one on top of the other, and that made a pretty good little home for you. 6 of us in there, and you had little oil stoves for heat, and so that worked out. And then finally, I got shipped to a Quonset, 24 of us in Quonset. We had one kid that we were all taking Japanese military equipment apart I've got one on a knee mortar detonator, Japanese, that is on one of my knives on the end. So you open up this knee mortar and take your pocket knife and scrape it out. And he was scraping out a grenade and it went off.
Oops.
And it took it in the bathroom and the shower and everything was, probably 50 feet or so from us. And 2 guys were going with towels and over to take a shower. And one of them, it just hit him right across the gut. And I think that kid died. And then the other one got injured badly. And so they gave him a dishonorable discharge and no papers. And he was just getting ready. Next week he was going to officer candidate school.
Oh, jeez.
Neat kid. But that wiped it out.
Yep.
Plus, the guild, I suppose, too, that. And then we had one where I said we were pretty close to the hangar, and so one of those 50 calibers, that something happened, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden you hear that thing, put, 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 and it shot right into the Quonset, but didn't get anybody. The sea bags got shut up and everything. But that was kind of exciting.
Since you had 6 layers of tent material,
Yeah.
was that warm?
Oh yeah, wasn't bad at all.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it worked good.
So was that as good as the Quonset or Pacific huts, whichever they were?
I didn't really see any difference.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of snow. We'd get enough snow, and it wasn't snow that had fallen. It would be blown and drifted and such. So you'd have to sometimes come out. I think we had a deal up on the top of the Quonset where you could open the deal up and you could crawl out up there.
Yeah, we have a picture down at the museum of a guy doing that.
Yeah. So we had that. And some of the interesting things that happened, like we called them 90-day wonders. That was the ensigns,
Right.
And they had no idea about construction. And so one of them stopped the guy with the blade. He was running his blade there, and he drove up there and started honking, and so the guy shut down. And he said, "Can't you see that axle's all bent? Those wheels are bent. You just leave that there and get a mechanic out here and get it fixed." And he said, "Well, just a second, sir." He said, "I'll fix it." And he just turned the old wheel, brought him up. "Is that better for you?" And so that was one of them. Another one, I was in the machine shop getting some stuff done, and it was a part for a bulldozer, and the thing was about that big around, and they were machining that thing. Well, that gets so hot, it just literally the shavings are blue. They're literally blue, and so this ensign came over there and reached over, and the kid tried to stop him, but he grabbed one of those. And then he was going to court martial the kid, and I said, "No way, no. And then we had another little guy, Frenchy Cadieux. He had an imaginary bicycle he used to ride, and so they'd pick on him real bad. And so we got a deal. They built a shower room and all kinds of stuff down from our barracks there. And so we built a shed in back of it, and we had him as the watchdog for the whole thing. So Frenchie did that. But it was kind of neat. He loved it because he just, you know, people picked on him too much. So I often wonder whatever happened to Frenchie. He's a neat little guy. Our chaplain was gay, so they sent him home. I think we only had him maybe 2 months. So all we had then was just a priest. So I went to Catholic services for 16 months, and I've got on my dog tag a little thing there that says, "I am Catholic."
Ooh, okay.
I just saw it the other day. I thought, oh, wonder why I put that on there. I wasn't Catholic.
Yeah, that's strange.
But and then when we some of the things we did on the beach patrol, we went up and there was a rock quarry, and so we they had some big trucks there. I think they were Diamond T's, as I remember, big brute ones. And so I said, we ought to just take one of those for a ride. So I get in this thing, my buddy gets in, and we fire it up. It's just a toggle switch, and we turned it on, and I hear this in this noise, and I said, "What's that?" He said, "I don't know." So I put it in gear, you know, and took the brake off. Well, you couldn't stop it. That was going until the air pressure came up. So we go down the hill, over the road, down into the ocean. And the tide was out. So there we got this truck sitting down there. So I had to go down on the end was NAS there, and they had a phone outside that you could call. So I called and said, "We just found a stolen truck, so you better get up here before the tide comes in." So that was one of them. Then another one, another time we saw a deal that looked like an outhouse. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting, but it's different, something about it. I think it's painted red. And so we opened that up. Well, it was cases of dynamite. So we each got a stick of dynamite, and it was probably 10, 20 below, you know. And we would stand like you and me, and I'd throw you this stick of dynamite, and you'd throw me mine. And then we'd move back, you know, just like keep away. And he'd move back another foot and throw it. And we got to where we was throwing it, probably 6 feet. Well, the next day at chow, I was telling them what we had done. It was really fun, you know. And this guy next to me said, "I'm a powder monkey. Do you want to know what the deal is?" I said, "What's that?" He said, when that stuff freezes and the nitro goes to one end, if you dropped it, they'd never found you.
Yeah.
Well, there's several times that you're lucky we're around, aren't we? But that's just a little of the stuff, I guess. But, and you know, we climbed poles in just all kinds of weather. It was, you know, you just had to work. And this guy, Slim Eubanks, was a rebel from down south, and he just felt you should work every day, every hour.
Oh, geez.
And boy, we did. We worked our little butts off. And like you'd have to dig the holes, and then you had pike sticks. And these would be like 35-foot poles. And you'd pike them down in there. You'd have 3 pike sticks and people on each one. And then you'd have to tamp it all in. So, and then, I guess before we did that, we put the cross arms on and all that. And we could even get up to, "Hey, what do you say, kid?"
No, I don't want to interrupt. Nope.
Well, you are. You want to say something to the camera?
No.
Tell them about your 22 years in the Navy?
Nope.
But anyway, where was I?
About climbing the poles. and
Oh,
setting
climbing the
them up.
poles. Yeah, and then a lot of them were 50-footers, and we had to use the truck. I used to have to run the truck and lift those up with the winch and such. And but we'd have them all rigged up, and then when we'd crawl them, we'd put the guys on and all that. Well, I would just take my hand line, which is just a rope, and I'd just wrap it around and put a bite on it, and then I just grab that, check it, be sure it's good. Just slide down the rope, just shake it like that, 50 feet, you know. That thing would just pop off. And I tried sliding down the guy wires one time, and you have great big insulators.
Yep.
They called them Johnny Balls. Well, I know why they call them Johnny
Yeah,
Balls.
yeah, funny thing.
That's bad.
Ooh, that was bad news.
Hurt. But and then I went on to Hawaii. Over there in Hawaii, I drove trucks, and I didn't do any electronic stuff over there. And then when I went to Guam, I did climb poles and such, and then guarded those prisoners. And I think that probably kind of
Guard the prisoners.
Japanese prisoners. No, I didn't mention that,
No,
huh?
no.
Oh well, I'd get a truck, and I'd have 25 Japanese prisoners with double-bitted axes, and I had a driver, and I had a little carbine, but I wasn't allowed any ammo. And I'd be court-martialed if I used ammo. And so I'd put that clip in with the slugs in there, and I'd pull it back, and I'd say, show it to you. And I'd do it to each one of them.
Yeah.
And so then we'd go clear down in the jungle, start, clearing the paths down into the jungle and such. So, but they were real good. There was just no problem at all.
Well, were you building a
We're just kind of, I suppose it might be a road in time, but we were just clearing an area, probably 12 feet wide.
But they had a fenced-in area where the prisoners were.
Oh yeah, up on the hill. Yeah, yeah, they did. Yeah, one time there's a Marine that just went ape, and he took his Thompson, and here's all these guys in there, and he just opened that thing up. I don't know how many he took out. Probably 10, 12 he killed. He just flipped out, But and then Guam. Guam, I climbed poles. And what else seems like? Oh yeah, I worked in the office, ran the telephone. They had on the telephone, they had the old type where the little thing drops down. Little metal thing, and it drops down. You plug the things in and such,
Yeah.
And you had, I think we could do about 6 lines. So I did that for quite a while, and I can remember. And then I had the PA. I used to do the announcements too. Kind of like.
The camp, like radar.
Yeah, like radar did.
Yeah.
And so one time I just said, "Guess what? Greene has got 39 points, and he's going home." So that was it. I had my grandmother as a dependent,
Right.
and I sent her $10, and so that, I think we had that. It would have been, I don't know, like if it'd been 49 or 40 something otherwise. And so there was people that were married and had kids and everything, and they didn't get to go home. Had to finish out that. There. Little running.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't think of too much more.
So you weren't bored on Attu?
No, we had, I had all kinds of stuff. Like I would go over to the Kingfisher plains, and they had strobe lights on them, and so I'd take those strobe lights off, and I made cigarette lighters, and my buddy and I, and we had a bottle in there, and that was full of lighter fluid. And then we wrap up a handkerchief and put in there. And then we had 2 little wires that came up. I guess they were nails, and they come up like this. And then you'd pull this little handle, and this little aluminum thing would open up. And when it did, well, that would spark it,
Yeah.
and it would
Yeah.
be a light for people smoking.
Yeah.
And I sold probably, I must have sold 10 of those to the officers. They loved them. And they didn't realize. And my skipper, there were 3 of us again, And he knew what we were doing always. And so he'd say, "My God, guys, don't you ever quit."
No, life's fun.
Yeah. But the real good stuff, I just can't tell anybody. So it's just Mickey Mouse stuff.
Well, you got to keep life interesting, right?
Yeah. But I think that pretty well covers it, don't you think?
Well,
Can you think of anything we should be adding?
yeah, but after you got discharged in June of 45,
Yeah.
then you became a professional student.
Yep. Yeah, I went to College of Puget Sound first, Tacoma. And then I went to Casper to live with my mother for a while. And I went to Casper Junior College.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met my bride. And
And you were married when?
1950.
Okay.
Yeah, I should mention a little bit of that. Kind of goofing up here. Got married in 1950. She was about 16 when I started going with her. And so when I'd be working on cars, she'd been underneath there with me, holding the transmission up while I put the bolts in.
Good helper then.
Oh yeah, she knew. We repaired a lot of cars, wrecked and everything. You know, the whole front end wrecked, and somebody'd give it to us, and we'd take it all apart and put new, junk parts on. But she was a little gal from South Dakota. That's where she grew up, a little country school and all that stuff. And then, so that takes care of her. And then we had 4 kids. The oldest one is Deb, and the next one was Ron, and then the third one was Dana. That's the one that died at 55.
Dana, boy or girl?
Girl.
Girl. Okay.
And then the last one was the kid here. Clifford is his name, but we call him Kelly.
Okay, that works.
He went to school and told him he was Kelly, and I don't have any record of that. So he found that. He come home and said, "My name isn't Kelly, it's Clifford." He'd never heard it before.
Well, we all get nicknames.
Yeah.
So.
But we had 70 years together, so that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful.
If everybody does 70 years, that's not bad.
Heck, most people don't even do 10 anymore.
Yeah,
So
good years.
that's right. Good years.
Good lady. I think that pretty well covers it.
You think that pretty well covers?
I think so.
Well, that's 49 minutes, I guess. But we always end these with a thinking question.
Okay, let's hear it.
And so I'm going to ask the question. I'll turn the camera on standby until you formulate an answer, and then wave at me, and
Okay.
we'll start it.
All right.
If you had one message to leave to future generations, what would it be?
I think the key things in trying to sum up life, the important things in my life are my family and my friends. And that's it.
That's it.
And the friends includes the church. I've been going to the church for 60 years. So they're our extended family.
Of course they are.
But that's it, yep.
You don't keep in touch with any of your service buddies?
Not anymore. We did.
Did for a long time, right?
Yeah, we had reunions, and I think we went to probably 15 reunions of CBs, and so I called the gal about 6 months ago. There used to be 40 guys plus the wives, and they'd go to, and they would set it all up where we're going to go and everything. And so I called and I said, "How many we have left?" She said, "You're it, Bill."
Oh, geez.
So that tells you something.
Mm-hmm.
And my buddy that had the 24 kids, same way. Went out there to Tacoma to visit my sister-in-law and called and said Jim died just last week. And he was just really my buddy. He and I were everything in high school.
Yeah, Jerry Rossello that I did yesterday.
Yeah.
He said he's the last member of VP 139.
Yep. But you know, I don't worry about it. I'm still, like I say, I'm still planning on going to 100.
That's right. You're going to do the Senior Olympics in 100.
Yeah, because I don't really have anything wrong with me. You know, I've never had any parts, knees, hips, shoulder, back.
That's great.
There's nothing wrong with me at all. So I'd give me 3 months and I'd be ready for another Senior Olympics.
There you go.
Yep.
That's wonderful.
But anyway, I'd say those are the main things. The one I used to ask people, I went to quite a number of science foundation, where they would have programs for teachers, you know, where you'd have a program and you'd go someplace and for a summer or something. And so I'd quite frequently, we'd be sitting in a bar or something and there'd be 6 or 8 of us. And I said, if you knew that you were going to die this month, what would you do? And every one of them would say, I'd just continue what I'm doing. You know, you'd think that, I start going to go around the world, or I'm going to, do all these bucket list things. But every one of them would just said, just keep doing what I'm doing. And I think that's kind of true for all of us. Wouldn't you do that?
That's a great testimony.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go fishing.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I'd go with you. Love to fish.
I do too.
My dad was a game warden in Wyoming.
Do you still do a lot of fishing?
Not lately. No, I haven't done much lately. I think I used to tie my own flies. They were kind of rustic little things, but they worked.
If they work,
Yeah,
they don't have to be purty.
little grasshopper that I used to make, boy, that really nailed them. They loved it. Okay, that's it.
Alrighty, we would